Joining us with reaction is Bruce LeVell, the Executive Director of the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. Bruce, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. I want to start by showing you an Instagram post actually sent out by the city manager of nearby Linwood, California. In response to the shooting, the caption reads, "Chickens come home to roost." The city has since come out saying the post does not reflect their view, but in it, the city manager writes that he does not condone the acts of the gunman, but for too long, good deputies have covered up for bad deputies. That's included in the caption. Apparently, he's referring to a sentiment held by many in the community. But what's your reaction to that post by a city manager?
It's actually horrible, and thanks for having me. Here we go again, once again, these liberal Democrat cities have not done what they sworn that they would do on their oath to protect the citizens and uphold the Constitution of their city or county or commission seat that they take. And you saw what happened as a result to autonomous zones and letting these people run around and riot and loot and not back their policemen. We created this wave of tsunami of anti-policing rhetoric that's gotten to another height in some of these cities, which has put these police in great harm way. So, like I said before on many shows, I've talked about this emphatically. I actually served on a police board for a few years here in Atlanta, is that the constituents of these cities and these people need to look around and ask themselves, do they want this type of chaos? Do they want this type of leader that will pander to this type of left that will bring total chaos and destruction to their city?
Bruce, you mentioned these Democrat-run cities here. In some of those cities, you've had leadership either call to defund the police or redistribute funding to the police. Do you think that has anything to do with the violence that we're seeing? Again, these calls to move about funding from police departments?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're giving a green light to a far-left group that wants to totally undermine our great republic and create chaos. Who's funding it? Who's behind it? There's so many different facets trying to come in here and destroy this great country. So I think, this needs to be a lesson, especially for these, quote, Democrat cities. And for FYI, the majority or all of these cities in the country are under Democrat leadership. It's like the president said, look at these cities that have the biggest crime and the biggest problems are under 60 years of 70 years of Democrat rule, which affect the black community more than any communities in this great nation. So, I think it's time for people just to wake up and get behind and stop this foolishness of talking about redirecting funds or defund or whatever. I say give them more funding, give them a raise, give them even more training and hold accountability standards, and let's move on and get a peaceful republic here so we can move our money when we start opening up even more. Because, by the way, watch this. When we open up in this last quarter, hold on to your seatbelt. The economy is going to take off like a racehorse. So we need peace. We need police.
We need peace right now. And as we've seen, quite frankly, a lot of police officers either we've spoken with or heard from, they've said that they don't feel comfortable or as supported as they normally would by their local leadership. We've seen retirements spike from different departments across the country. So clearly, not maybe the most encouraging time to get a shield and to protect your community and to sign up for that role. Want to switch gears and talk to you about this. There was an exchange between CNN's Jake Tapper and White House trade advisor Peter Navarro over Joe Biden's comments made about China and the travel ban. Here's that.
He's taking down flights from China. He was called a xenophobe and a racist by Joe Biden.
No, he wasn't.
Later had to apologize.
No, he wasn't. And he didn't apologize.
Yeah, we'll do the fact check on that. I watched that.
I just did.
All right. Well, you're wrong.
There have been multiple instances on Sound and on Twitter of Biden calling Trump's record xenophobic in January and as late as March as well. Is the Biden camp ignoring their own record?
Yeah. Listen, it's not uncommon. Jake did me the same way on the Charlottesville sit-up and told a bold-faced lie when I was on his show. So it's quite normal, unfortunately. The unfortunate part about this is that they're playing with semantics. And you're sitting here like, is this all your candidate has? Is this all you have to offer, is to go pick through the weeds and Monday quarterback on the decisions that the sitting president made that saved hundreds of thousands of lives? So I'm kind of perplexed trying to figure out, well, where are they going with this? It's like, what do you have to offer? So they really don't have anything. So let's just pick and nitpick and anything we can to try to spin whatever the president said or what Peter Navarro said, and let's just spin it, and hopefully we'll get some votes out of that. I'm totally lost at where they're going with this, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You know?
Interesting. Like I said, everything's documented, so you just have to, to pull up the tweets or the soundbite. And when you think back to back in January when that decision was made, there was so much unknown at that time. We couldn't even imagine seeing the cases or deaths, unfortunately, from COVID-19 back then. So that was clearly quick action there without a lot of knowledge as to what was to come. Finally, Bruce, I want to talk to you about social media. Again, as we get closer to the election here, it plays a huge role in dispersing information, but they're out censoring the president. I want to show you this latest example here on Twitter. Adding a warning label to a tweet from the president telling people to make sure that their vote counts. You know, and Twitter is so selective in the tweets that they choose to censor. I wish I had access to someone who could give me some insight as to which account they were monitoring most closely, because I've seen a lot of violent rhetoric on Twitter that goes unchecked. That I don't think would agree to their terms of services here, and yet the president is always got under the spotlight there.
You know, next time when I come on, I'll show you, since 2015, the most vile and harsh comments ever directed to me as a black Republican, let alone a black Republican that supports President Trump. And you would just, it would make the average American cry. So, you know, it's so much hypocrisy going on in the social media world. But listen, in light of all of this, I'm hoping that, you know, one thing about when people play games and it inspires other folks to open up their own social media, their own network, or their own. So this is what I'm hopeful for and optimistic for, outside of all the crazy. It's like, look, if you want to act the fool this way, fine. I don't need you. I'll go open up my own business, or I'll go open up my own social media platform.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm hopeful for. And we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of great networks like here at Newsmax that are coming up, you know, trying to, you know, preach the gospel of the truth instead of, you know, playing games with the American people. So there's a lot of great opportunities, I say, in the future for their shenanigans and whatever that they're trying to do to oppress our First Amendment.
Yeah, we're trying our best here, and we appreciate you joining us this morning. Bruce LeVell, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.